So, YouTube decides to recommend this from Paul Joseph Watson. They found something horrifying. And as I went through it, and I wonder, with copyright, will I be able to, play any of this? But essentially, some YouTubers had, he doesn't go much into the details, certainly in the beginning anyway. I'm guessing it'd be urban explorers. I have no idea. Remember, I'm trying to avoid, issues. But they stumble across, well, under fair use. Let me have Paul explain some of this.
Illegally occupying a building while the police sit there doing F all. You can tell this is going to be vibrant.
I mean, as I've said before over the years, then again, I noticed that even with the festivals, when I was helping out a friend in relation to his security company, and one specific festival that really, I was like, wow. And you could see that there was a sort of collective, a network going, and they were going from festival to festival, and in between these festivals, they were, doing odd jobs, whatever else, various other things, worked for agencies, just did different things. One of the reasons I found that out was I'd met some of those festival goers in these networks. They had a particular look about them, very sort of new agey, just like a lot of the women were wearing, dreadlocks, and same with a lot of the guys actually, with the bum fluff around their face, and it just didn't feel right. People could say, "Oh, come on, you misjudging," you. But no, I could see a network. Even when I was looking around places like Edinburgh, you could see this sort of graffiti and just, you remember, this is the capital city of Scotland here. And at one stage was kept reasonably clean. Really. One of the reasons it was so successful as a festival, Edinburgh Fringe, you name it, international festival, blah, blah, blah. Really. But over time, you noticed growing amounts of graffiti that just never seemed to be cleaned, or if it was, it would take months, all the rest of it. And I would argue this is all part and parcel of this psychological attack on society, the public, etc. They're very... what's the term now? Living species. But yeah, their day-to-day has been infected by this virus of destruction. And you have so many of these little networks, and some not so little. And they get the weak of mind in, the change agents, the activists. They profile people, chip on their shoulder, fucking wasters, you name it. But, if you give them a collective feeling that, they're part of the revolution, that they're, I could do, as always, a better job, but I'll repeat, you're concerned about things like copyright, and of course, well, say the wrong thing, hurty words. You see, the wording, all the rest of it. This is psychological. This is projection. This is about hyping up the weak of mind to fight against the apparent system, but ultimately they're part and parcel of the destruction of communities, genuinely, and our way of life. No two doubts about it. but somehow they feel themselves as Che Guevara, who was, well, let's face it, a less polite individual would describe him as a cunt, but not me. But, you know, not a nice guy when you look into his background, and so many others, yeah? But, and well funded, of course. But let's continue.
Welcome to Persons Unknown. We'll see how well that turns out.
I mean, recently I did a vid where I was describing, even when I was in primary, a particular primary school in Edinburgh, and just before this comic started coming out called 2000 AD in the 70s, all of a sudden in the playground there was these murals, quite literally, of these characters, yeah? What better way to suddenly get the children, if they're constantly seeing that every day as they walk past in the playground, kicking a ball about, blah, blah, blah. You know, break time. This is a hyper-advanced, well, in some regards, version of it. This is the extension of it. That's what you're seeing. Look at these festivals. Think. Reflect yourself. You know, festivals you've been to, yeah? And it's all like the Care, on the surface, it's like the Care Bear brigade, but they're not. And, you know, they're supposed to be eco this and that, but have you ever noticed with all these festivals, pretty much all of them, they leave all these plastic tents and all the rest of it. Meanwhile, you know, we need to get with Gaia, Mother Earth. They're not good people, but rather than address their own weaknesses and, you know, but collectively, if they feel like superheroes, that they're part of the revolution, that you know, stick it to the whatever, the patriarchy, the whatever they're fucking told. Yeah. How many cells, and that's what I would argue they are, like cells in the, you know, hubs, yeah, are there in the UK, for example, at this moment.
First of all, and it has to be said, imagine the smell.
But that's part of the breakdown, isn't it? Yeah, that. If you've got a whole bunch of useless, brain dead, easily, well, hyper gullible, easily manipulated waste of space, and get them collectively to feel them that there's some sort of revolution, and if suddenly, for many, for the first time in their lives, they've got friends, and what you're pushing towards is destabilisation. Well, you better, you know, you're obviously going to get them comfortable with that being their surroundings as they cause abject mayhem all around them. Yeah, seriously. None of this should be rocket science. We're only X amount, but we're not even a minute into this, and maybe I should just at this stage, you know, leave you the link to it, but.
Jim, yeah, I don't think much exercise is getting done. All prisoners are political.
You think child rapists deserve dignity? Absolutely, I do.
Think of the mindset that. Anyway, as I said, I'll leave you a link to it, but this is part and parcel of the destabilisation. No two doubts about it. Your thoughts, and maybe a thumb up or two, a share, if you care, and I'll speak to you soon.